Hello and welcome to the Home Assistant Podcast. My name's Phil. Joining me as usual, we've got Rohan. Hey Rohan, how you doing?
Hey, good man. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. As usual, this podcast is sponsored by Home Assistant Cloud by Nabukasa. For a small monthly fee, you'll unlock powerful features like secure, effortless access to your system from anywhere, your choice of voice assistants, offsite backups, and more, all configurable in the UI with no YAML needed. It also supports the development of Home Assistant, ESP Home, and other Open Home Foundation projects. Click the link in the description to learn more. We'd also like to give a shout out to our Patreon members, including our executive producers, Benny and Rob. You can help support the show and get early access to episodes, all in an ad free feed. To support the show, check out homeassistant.fm and click Patreon in the menu. And a shout out to our new Patreon members this month, Odysseus and Mike as well. So thank you very much. We're trying something new this episode. We're actually recording this and doing a live stream for our Patreon and YouTube members. So we'll see how this one goes. We might open them up to YouTube Live in the future. To everyone. So yeah, we're still experimenting, trying to give more ways we can be more interactive and get the show out there.
Yeah.
Rohan, 2025.11 is here. We do have a few things we want to get through first, though, including feedback and some other little tidbits. But in some other related Home Assistant news this month, DuckDuckGo have pledged 50K to the Open
hmm
Home Foundation project.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess it aligns, right? Since DuckDuckGo is focused on privacy, Home Assistant focused on privacy. I don't know, it's a good match there. So
Yeah, exactly.
um, it's cool to see that. Yeah, that's awesome. And also somewhat related news, Home Assistant again is one of the biggest open source projects on GitHub. So that's awesome. GitHub Universe is wrapped up, and Home Assistant came out on top there. So that's pretty awesome. And I don't know if you saw this, but Frenck also got a little GitHub star in I don't know, wherever in GitHub land. So it's a physical, like kind of like Hollywood
Oh, yeah, on the Walk of Fame.
star
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So he got a GitHub star, so that's awesome
So
as
yeah,
well.
because
Super
Frank is an
lovely.
official GitHub star. He got awarded that last year, I believe, and now it looks like they've done a Walk of Fame to honor all the GitHub stars.
Yeah.
And I did see that on Frank's socials. I did see. I don't think Home Assistant is number one anymore. I believe TypeScript has now taken
Oh,
over the number one open
interesting.
source project because of the AI boom. Everyone contributing to the TypeScript language. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
my information there is correct. Um, so yeah, but I think still in the tricky thing is that GitHub don't count it by organization; they count it by a single repo, and just on the Home Assistant core repo, Home Assistant
Right.
is like number two, number three, or something in the world of contributions. But if they had included all the repositories, we're talking front end, voice, all the mini
Right.
projects around. That's not all
ESP
the
home and all that too.
exactly custom components,
Yeah.
all that. I'm sure they would have given a few other repos or through organizations run for their money. Um, Eltako has just joined the Works with Home Assistant program. They make a bunch of Matter relays, and they're pretty well known in Germany, I think, for about 75 years. So if you are in Germany and you know that brand, it's good to see that a company that's been around 75 years is happy to move on to something new as Home Assistant, right?
Yeah. Evolution. Some other news: the Home Assistant Yellow is being retired. So I know they've been making a big push to talk about this around the Home Assistant Yellow itself. So pretty much the green will be the go-to platform, right? So the yellow will still be supported and what have you, right? It's still a Raspberry Pi based device. But basically, if you want it, get it now before they run out. But I from what I understand, there's no more production on those devices.
Yeah, and I think that's been what like a I don't know, how would you say, like a victim of their own success? Like they had a whole bunch of issues during COVID when it was released because of the pie shortage. Now they've I think people aren't necessarily buying as much now. Everyone's moving over to mini PCs. Um, so yeah, they're still supporting the yellow in terms of the Home Assistant OS will be compatible with anyone that's bought a Home Assistant yellow, just like Home Assistant blue. Um, but Nabucasa, the commercial side of Home Assistant, concentrating on other bits of hardware. We might be seeing one coming out this month. Um, they've got like the Z-Wave radio. They've got this Home Assistant Green, which now everyone seems to be using more in place of the Home Assistant Yellow. And if you wanted more power than the green, then people are generally their evolution path is going to something like a mini PC.
Yeah, and with the cost of mini PCs now, that kind of makes sense. You have all these random brands like Minis Forum and B-Link and all these guys that are making devices for a couple $100.
Yep.
Which, if you take a yellow, you have the yellow, the base hardware on it. You add the Raspberry Pi, whatever CM4, CM5, whatever like that. Now all of a sudden you're into almost that price range, right? So pay a little more and get a lot more oomph into the device. Now, the only thing is where I like the yellow is it's got a Zigbee / Thread radio built into it, and and I mean that is nice. So it's one less extra piece of hardware that you need. But if you don't use Zigbee, if you're fully on Z-Wave or everything's Wi-Fi or what have you, then might not need that as much, right? So I run everything on a yellow today. I personally I really like the device, so I'm a little sad to see it go, but I like the form factor and everything as well, right? So it's nice to see that, and it's upgradable. So CM5, I'm running it on a CM4, but um, if I had a CM5, I could pretty much easily upgrade to that and then restore it from backups and what have you. So yeah, so that's a little bit about the Home Assistant Yellow and where that's going. But yeah, there's a lot of mini PCs coming out these days, and everybody and their dog, it seems like, has a mini PC company and that's releasing something for a couple $100. And yeah,
And I think Nabucasa have put a shout out to Home Assistant, and it's always hard to say like which one is talking here, but they are looking for feedback from the community if uh, to see where the community wants to go in terms of hardware. Like if the community is flocking to a certain type of mini PC, maybe Home Assistant or Nabucasa will look at create going down that path and making the next official supported hardware, or coming out with the next
yeah,
version of the yellow, blue, whatever the next product lineup will be, to be in line more with what the community is moving towards now.
yeah, yeah,
I do want to talk about 2 mm presence sensors I've been testing, which is the LinknLink Emotion Max and the Emotion Pro. Now, we've been talking a lot about millimeter wave sensors. They've been getting a lot of attention lately, and we certainly mention them, I think, basically on every episode this year. And they go beyond traditional motion sensors. I've talked about that many times. Most of us started with a PIR motion sensor, the little ones that trigger when they detect heat movement. They're great for basic automations like turning lights on when you walk into a room, but they do have the major downside that if you're sitting down for a while or you're on the toilet, the sensor assumes you've left the room and the lights turn off. Millimeter wave sensors, on the other hand, use radar technology. They send out radio waves and measure the reflections. So that means they can pick up tiny movements, even breathing, and know someone's still in the room. They can even detect how far away you are from the sensor. So you can get, am I 2 meters, 1 meter away? So as we've been talking a lot about these types of sensors on the podcast, LinknLink were kind enough to send me a couple of units to test. So I decided to put the sensors to the test in the context of Home Assistant, and I started out with the Emotion Max. The setup was straightforward. Pairing is done over Bluetooth for the Pro and Wi-Fi for the Max. I was then able to configure MQTT and get everything talking to Home Assistant. Once online, the sensor exposes a bunch of entities, presence detection, distance to the nearest person, and even some zone-based data as well. I do have some concerns with their app needing a Wi-Fi password, which is a downside for me. They want to store that in the cloud by the looks of it. In single-person scenarios, the devices worked pretty well. Entering and leaving a room were detected quickly, and data coming through MQTT matched what I was seeing in their LinknLink app. But things got interesting when there were multiple people in the room at the same time. So when I had two or more people
yeah,
moving between rooms, the tracking accuracy became a bit hit or miss. Sometimes one person would drop off, especially if someone else was closer to the sensor. It's definitely not perfect yet for multi-person tracking. And switching over to the eMotion Pro, aesthetically, it's identical to the Max. They both look like this. You never know the difference side by side. They've got the same accessories. It's got the same USB-C power and the same Bluetooth Wi-Fi setup. The difference between the Max and Pro is the Pro doesn't have multi-room support, so you only get the how close you are to a sensor. The Pro has support for up to 6 zones, which lets you define how close someone can be to the device, but it does appear to be in beta on the app. So it doesn't track direction or anything like that. In terms of performance, presence detection was pretty fast actually. There's also a delay off option, so you can smooth out, if someone's walking away from a device. You can also listen for enter and leave events in Home Assistant, which I thought was a nice touch, and they're great for triggering automations instantly. One thing to watch out for, like most millimeter wave sensors, these can sometimes see through walls. I actually had false detections from my laundry picking up movement in the next bedroom over,
Oh,
but I was able
interesting.
to adjust the range to be a short distance, which was able to solve that. So
Yeah.
overall, I think the LinknLink emotion sensors are promising, especially for the price and the native home assistant compatible MQTT support. I really did appreciate that. Multi-person tracking was a bit hit and miss, but I've had the same experience with other millimeter wave sensors, for example, from Apollo Automation and a couple other brands as well. If you're looking to dabble into mmWave presence sensors for single room use, they're worth trying. For the price point, they are one of the nicest looking millimeter wave sensors I've seen so far. Just be ready to spend a bit of time tuning these detection ranges to avoid any cross room triggers. I've also got a write up on my blog at philhawthorne.com, which I'll link in the show notes, going a bit more in depth as well. I hadn't heard of Emotion Pro devices before, so it was nice to see these, have them, like for them to reach out to us, and that they've got the MQT support, which uses Home Assistant Discovery. I would love to see a Zigbee or Matter version of these for sure, but yeah, these are it. Thanks, LinknLink, for sending it out. I really do appreciate it. They haven't paid us in any way for this. It was just they said, "Hey, try out these devices. We've got MQTT and it integrates with Home Assistant. Would love to get your opinion." And yeah, I was a bit skeptical at first, but no, they integrated very well into Home Assistant.
Yeah, that's neat. It's and it's nice that it's MQTT too, right? So you can just block it from whatever internet, whatever, and it's all local then at that point.
That's it. Yeah, the app does look like it requires to talk to their server, and I mentioned there that the
Yeah,
Wi-Fi,
it's
from
stored
what I
and
see, it does ask to store your Wi-Fi password on their cloud servers, which was a bit concerning for me. Not that I have anything to hide, or they could do anything with that
sure.
password from wherever their servers are located, but yeah, it's not ideal. I'd rather be just on the device. Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
I think MQTT is nice. It also means that it doesn't get locked into Home Assistant as well. Like if there's another, maybe you're not using Home
right.
Assistant, maybe you're using Habitat or whatever, Homey, and if they can access MQTT, um, you can just read those topics as well.
Yeah. No, that's cool. It's nice.
Yeah.
We don't get too much stuff sent to us usually, but it's cool when we do. So
Particularly the stuff that we want to talk about, right? Like how many, real estate
yeah.
agents reach out to us and be like, "Hey, you should have this person on the podcast." Like,
Well, it's cool. Like I mean, a lot of times the stuff that we do get sent out end up happening after we have people from there on their show, right?
yeah, exactly.
Like again, Apollo or Air Gradient and that kind of stuff, and it's which is again really appreciated as well. So thank everyone for doing that. But
And thanks, Link, for also reminding me or pushing me to do a blog post on this. I thought I'd do a blog post because I recently upgraded my site to from WordPress to Ghost, following Franck's footsteps, and I realized I hadn't done a blog post in like 6 years.
you know what? Me too.
Yeah, right. Like since doing the podcast, there's just been no time for blogging. Right, I looked at the whole list of drafts on my blog. I'm like, oh yeah, I got it. Most of those don't apply anymore. Right, it was a pre AI. Nothing on those drafts is salvageable anymore.
That's it. There you go. Well, it's funny. I forget who we were talking to, but there's some talk about like doing blogs and stuff like that too. And I was like, I should update my website. So I actually got Claude Code to just rebuild
There you
just the
go.
theme of the website.
Yep.
and I host mine on GitHub pages, and it's still on GitHub pages, whatever, right? So Claude went in, did everything, and it actually looks really nice now. So check it out, karamandi.com. But I still don't have any new blog posts. So maybe one of these days I'll do that. I'm not going to use AI to make my blog posts. That's a line I don't want to cross yet. Who knows? Maybe I will at some point, but that's not yet.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some feedback from some previous episodes. So on Twitter, shout out to Sebastian for pointing us to a PC Mag tweet where, because of the big AWS outage in North Virginia, there's a smart bed, and actually Paulus mentioned this on the email from the email newsletter from the
Mm.
Open Home Foundation as well, where Sleep8, they're a smart bed system of some kind. They suffered an outage with AWS going down, and now their people's beds were either overheating or stuck in the wrong position or whatever. So if there's ever a case for local, forget privacy, forget all of that. Just right there,
Yeah.
right? It's if I'd be pretty mad if I lost a full night of sleep or a better part of a night of sleep because of an AWS outage.
I am like, I can't believe that the mattresses wouldn't work, right? I'm sure this would have to be some product safety issue, right? Like the fact that the bed could overheat, like you couldn't turn the heating mode off on this bed
Yeah.
because the internet wasn't connected. Like that surely has to be some safety regulation that goes against.
And also, I don't know, it's just good design would say, I mean, AWS themselves are like, hey, put your product in multiple availability zones. So if,
Yeah.
one of our availabilities or one of our regions goes down, then put it in another region kind of thing, right? So whatever. That one's just just silly. But
Yeah.
let's talk to some YouTube comments. Um, just some internet dude. Love that name. On Plex. So not sure what the hate for Plex is. Just get a lifetime pass and you're done. One-time fee. It just works. The UI is polished. Tons of add-ons. It's awesome. To be honest, MB and Jellyfin are not up to par. And if developers were put on the case, let's be honest, there would also be a monthly charge or a lifetime fee. Development doesn't come cheap, and if Plex is an indication, development pays off. Um, I have mixed thoughts about this one. I still use Plex. And I actually have a lifetime subscription of Plex as well. I think a lot of the hate also comes from the fact that Plex is, again, I haven't had this happen, but Plex is allegedly they are going through and looking at the content. Based on the content, they're like shutting down subscriptions and those kind of things, right?
No, surely not. Right.
That's what I've heard. Again, this is not Rohan's. This is somebody telling somebody who told me. So this could be very, very wrong.
Okay.
But that is one thing I've heard. And again, I don't know if this is one of those things where it's like that's a rumor and that's not true and blah blah blah. Um, I have not had much of an issue with Plex itself. I've had an issue with my underlying storage with Plex, which is no fault of Plex. And I do like that I do like how polished it is. It is very family friendly. Um, but I've heard just random things about Plex. Again, none of them have affected me. Um, uh, like what I just mentioned, and just like apparently it's sketchy, something, something, something. But again, I do always like the other side of this, which is, MB Jellyfin, those kind of projects, which are, I always like that there's a free alternative. I don't want to have to pay for something. I don't have to do that. But is Plex a better experience? I haven't used MB or Jellyfin, but probably, I would think. At least from what I've heard and what I've seen, it looks a little more polished. It looks a little better. Not to say that it is.
I do. I think, yeah, just some internet dude is right here. I think the lifetime pass and you're done. I did that, a very long time ago. I think the hate from Plex is coming from more of what their recent developments are, in terms of moving more to streaming. So they've got Plex channels now, and they're trying to really throw that down your throat, essentially, right? Like you open up the Plex app, and it's some of the content is the first you see, right? Like it's all the Plex channels, what's on this movie channel, what's on this streaming channel, and it's generally like it's not movies you're going to want to watch, right? You might get the occasional good one in there, or it's just yeah, jokes on TV shows and stuff like that, like streaming channels. Um, I do get, and the UI is polished. There's Ambi and Jellyfin are great, but yeah, they're just not there yet. So yeah, I agree with the premise here. I just think the hate from Plex is coming from the decisions it's taking, and I think one of those decisions was also the fact that now they are looking into your library and potentially sharing that with your friends. You do have to opt out of it. I think it was opt in by default. So Rohan, if you and I were friends on Plex, and I started watching a TV show in my Plex library, your Plex newsletter would say, "Why don't you check out this TV show that
Yeah,
your
I've
friends
seen
are
that.
watching?" Right? Um, and that's not like necessarily like do I want to see how much 90 Day Fiance I get to watch? Like, do I want you to see that?
Right.
No, right? So yeah,
Yeah, I just put into perplexity here. Why does Plex have so much hate, right?
yep.
So, first point is that Plex has shifted away from self-hosting, and they're prioritizing their ad-supported streaming service. So, introducing commercials and and so on, paid features even for accessing your own personal media. Um, Again, more about ads, forced UI changes, which whatever, that's fine. I don't care about forced UI changes as much. Um, there's apparently a lot more playback errors and bugs and glitches so far these days. Again, I haven't run into those personally, but um, that I could totally see that. Another big one here is, like you said, Phil, privacy and telemetry issues, right? So where policy changes have suggested increased data collection. So people don't need to know that how much of XYZ TV shows you watch, or which could again potentially be your private libraries now getting either exposed or monetized, those kind of things, right? So from a privacy perspective, I do very much agree with that. Um, so, and again, I think people are just like, hey, sudden price hikes. The people that aren't locked into a lifetime plan like I am.
Mm.
So it's kind of alienated a few people. So that's what Perplexity is saying. I do agree with, say, most of those. Maybe not all of those, but here you go.
MacDork was talking about smart plugs on YouTube as well, and um, they were talking about they tried it with their 3D printer to get the power statistics. So I was mentioning that I was using power smart plugs for monitoring my fridge, monitoring my NAS, but for MacDork, their plug kept powering down, possibly because the printer draws too much power, which could be an issue. And then Toucan Iron came in and said, for pro tip, if you are using an ESP home plug with a 3D printer, don't forget to set the reboot timeout to 0 seconds, which is under the API YAML key. That way, it won't blink or turn off and on when Home Assistant isn't available. So, yeah, if you're using an ESP Home based smart plug, there's a little tip there.
Nice. I didn't realize that. I actually do have a smart plug on my 3D printer and haven't had any issues.
Oh, cool. Is it ESP Home
Um,
based?
no, no, no. It's actually an enterprise one, so it's actually meant for, like, you stick it on behind a server or something like that,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So that so you can it can handle a little more power draw and so on. So
In theory.
in theory, um, but I mean, my hasn't shut off or anything like that yet, so that's good enough for a 3D printer. Okay, GWMII. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but on Blue Skies mentions that the Atom Tech sells energy monitoring smart plugs with no relay, so you can monitor energy usage without the risk of the device turning off. And we just talked about this on an episode, I think that we just recorded last week, potentially. So
Yeah, should be
forward to
coming out
that.
soon. This is
Yeah.
interesting because I've also read a lot of people complaining about, especially some of the older Wemo devices that do energy monitoring. That after a few years, the devices fail because electronics in there to actually measure the
Oh,
electricity going
interesting.
through there starts to fail. So I'd be interested to see if these sort of devices that don't have the relay but are measuring electricity also have that potential issue. 5, 10 years time, will they potentially just not be able to pass power through them anymore, even though they don't have a
Right.
relay? I'm not sure how the technology works, but um, I thought that was
I'm
interesting.
I'm c- curious to know how accurate like a passive energy monitor like with like those CT clamps are, right? Like how
Mm.
accurate is that relative to actually having it in line and plugged in? Um, because at that point, why would you not use that? Then it's completely out of the way. So and again, maybe it's an accuracy thing, right? And that's the part I don't know, and I'd love leave us a comment, let me know if
Yeah.
I'm off base here, but
Well, and there's a few companies that do the CT clamps, right? Like Shelly have their whole. Uh, uh, they've got a few products out there to do 3-phase, single phase. You can actually put in your breaker box to measure whole circuits. I think AOTech have heavy duty power monitoring that use CT clamps for things like
yeah.
washing machines, dryers. So yeah, like be interested to know too. Like, is there an accuracy issue with those? I'm not too familiar with the
Yeah,
technology.
you can also build your own with ESP Home and like a ESP32 and just a
Mm.
bunch of CT clamps too, right? And it's I've seen a couple of those designs out there too. So but yeah, that's let me know. Let me know. Is there something going on? Somebody who knows more about this topic than I do, which is probably everybody, but it's
Okay, 2025.11. If you are a user of the automation UI, this is probably going to be a pretty big release for you. I'm just going to get started straight into it. There is a new target picker now available. So when selecting a device or entity, the target picker it's made a massive overhaul. It's now easier to understand what you're selecting. For example, when selecting an area, it will show you which entities in that area you'll be selecting, and it can give you a breakdown from which device they're coming from. So you can actually click on the entities, the entities link, and it will say, okay, you're turning on, for example, Phil's light, which is connected to Philip's hue, which is connected to this bridge. Um, so yeah, or from this room, from this bridge. So it's uh, and from that respect, yes, it makes a lot more sense. Yeah, it's a bit of a change. Like, they're doing a whole bunch of changes in the automation editor, which we'll get to in a sec. But I think there's going to be more coming out over the next 6 months at least.
yeah, even the last couple of releases, I feel like they've been just like adding more useful stuff, nicer stuff,
Yeah.
cleaning it up a little bit, that kind of stuff too, right? So which is great. That to me is the heart of Home Assistant. So I do think it's great to always show that kind of stuff some love. So there's also a new way to add triggers, conditions, and actions as well. So when you add one of those to your automations from the UI, you'll basically just be presented a better layout and how to select these. Uh, there's nothing new or removed or anything like that. It's entirely cosmetic, but it's just again, it's a little bit of a cleanup, right? So it's nice to you know a little easier to work with.
Yeah. I will. I'm gonna put in a little request here. One thing that I dislike about some of the automation editor is the when selecting a device. Like, so for example, I'm selecting a Z-Wave light, right? And then I go, trigger on action from this device. I just want the trigger to be when the light turns on, right? But or sorry, maybe a condition is a better example. Like, when the light is turned on, I want the condition to pass. But when I'm using a device selector and it's a Z-Wave device or a ZHA device, there's a whole bunch of just diagnostic crap that's in there, right? So, for example, if I'm using
Right.
a downlight example, I click, press this. When the light turns, I want it to be when the light is on, right? But I've got to, if Z-Wave setting value 1 is equals to this, or set value of system setting 2 to this, there's just a whole bunch of like crap in there that I don't want to scroll through. I have to scroll down the list to eventually get turn off the light or light is
Right.
on.
I
I would
wonder
love that to get
if
cleaned up.
isn't so when they split things out into like controls, diagnostics, and I forget the third section there. I
Yep.
think configuration. Uh, wasn't that supposed to solve that problem? Where
Well,
like you shouldn't see like the identify button for a device or something like that.
yeah, so that works for like when you're viewing the device, but not in like this automation editor place, right?
I thought it was supposed to work on that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I've been doing though lately is tagging whatever I want with labels, and I run the automation against the label. There's a few cases where I do
Mm.
it directly against the device, but for the most part, I do like so for this room for example, Phil, I was mentioning the other day where I was mentioning this offline, a little embarrassing, but uh, for a home automation podcast, my podcasts, I actually didn't have a podcast mode for quite a while. So like my lights that are in front of me here, the light, my ceiling light and my blinds closed and so on and so forth. So what I've done is I've actually tagged all of these as podcast, right? So I have an automation now that says, hey, turn on all the lights or switches labeled podcast. So it's just one straight shot. And that way, tomorrow, if I want to add another device onto that, let's say I have another light on the other side of me. I can go in and just tag that podcast, and I don't actually have to touch my automation either. So there's an actual intrinsic benefit there too. So maybe that's something uh, that might help you there.
Okay. I will have to. Yeah, I see. I don't use tags now. Like tags for me are what's in the garden. What's out there.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah.
but it's the
Uh,
same kind of logic that you use to filter in your mind that Home Assistant can use to filter in its, right? So that's the way I look at it. Uh,
Um, all right. So the naming entities on the dashboards has been updated. So you can now choose how names appear on your cards. So you can show the entity, the device, the area, the floor, or even combine them. So I think they did something similar a while ago now, but sometime this year, where you could change the secondary text, the secondary line
yeah,
data in like mushroom cards and stuff, or the tile cards. So you could, do you want the state? Do you want it to say who it was last updated by? It seems as though that has now been applied to the name as well, which is cool. So then instead of having
yeah,
to rename, like have a specific name, you can then choose, do I want the device, the area, the floor, or even combine, like, yeah, it's like you can actually,
yeah.
kitchen
So I could say like
light, right?
basement, light, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
And then
That's
that will
nice.
apply to any other, because that means that if you decide to go, hey, I'm going to rename this device from the device, it will actually then flow down into all your dashboards
Right,
because you don't have
right.
each device instance on all your dashboards. You don't have to go and rename them all.
I wonder if that would break a lot of stuff. So, like, for example, I have like very specific names for certain things, right? Like, um, where I use my voice assistant, either Amazon Echo or a voice PE, to say, like, hey, turn on this light. So just
Yeah.
habitually, I'm used to saying that for, I don't know, however long, how many ever years that I've been doing that. So now, does it automatically alias it? I know Amazon Alexa, or I know Amazon Echo doesn't do aliases, right? Whereas the voice PE, for example, can. So it depends on the device and so on, right? So I don't know if that kind of gets auto done there or if you have to set that up. So I feel like it might break some stuff
No, this
if
is
you be
purely
careful.
for like dashboards.
Yeah,
And like, yeah, it
just
won't
in
have,
dashboard, not the
yeah,
entity name itself or anything. Okay, that's good.
yeah. The energy graph has now been updated. It now has a pie chart available. So if you have energy monitoring and home assistant, and with all those smart plugs we were just talking about, you can now use you can change the graph to be a pie chart instead, which I have found to be quite useful already. I was actually fascinated. I flicked it over to pie chart, and I was just looking at, what's running, and I've I think when I first started tracking my energy on my NAS early this year, I was like, oh, my NAS is like the biggest consumer of like more than my fridge.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So I
Wow,
ended up,
really?
it was a Synology NAS. So I ended up putting an automation in to turn it off when we leave the living room because then I was watching Plex. So turn off the NAS and then turn it on when we wake up in the morning and go into the living room. And that's saved a lot. Like that's reduced. I'm now cutting up like 8 hours a day of that NAS just being online while we're asleep. So what I found now is that I have a smart plug monitoring my some of my Ubiquity switches and the PoE power injectors which is a PoE power injector switch which does my PoE cameras around the house. So I've got 4 cameras, 1 doorbell,
Yeah.
and that is drawing more energy being on 24/7 than my fridge, which I was
Okay,
surprised about.
either you have the most efficient fridge in the world, or because most of these use most PoE devices, if it's just standard PoE, it's 15 watt. PoE plus is 30, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
and I don't think Ubiquity devices, I don't think Ubiquity cameras go beyond that, right? Like 60 watt, 90 watt, whatever. So that that is very surprising.
yeah.
Um,
Maybe I need to check my stats, but yeah,
Maybe you need to check whatever's monitoring your fridge. because
that
I
too, right?
feel-
Like because they are different things. Like, one's a ZigBee thing monitoring the energy for the cameras, and one's a Z-Wave one tracking the fridge. Right? They could be using completely different algorithms or something. Um, do I
whoever
now
makes
need?
your fridge you should be using this as an ad for their products because
Yeah,
they're like,
it's an
hey,
LG
here's my
fridge,
whatever.
and I'm happy to
LG,
have
there
that
you
as an
go.
ad because
That's
they
right.
are doing component work for Home Assistant, right? Like,
They are. They are.
so I will support LG on that front. Um,
It's funny.
Maybe I just need to go down the Shelly route and get those CT clamps on all my circuits just to verify um, how much data is there. Because I do
Yeah.
like now that there's the Sankey. Is it Sankey? I think that's how it's pronounced. That
Yep.
chart as well to give a breakdown or a flow of where your energy is going. You can actually see. If I had them,
Yeah.
I would be able to see, by circuit. Circuit for the bedroom has this amount of power, and then it breaks off into all the energy monitors. So that is on my to-do list one day.
Yeah. That's awesome. Progress updates of or progress of updates. How's that? So you can now see the progress of updates for the Home Assistant core and all of its add-ons. So anytime you go click on update, you get a little bar. It says, and it's kind of always been there for like Zigbee devices and stuff, and you can
Mm.
see if there is a native integration in for updating the firmware on the Zigbee device. Now, same kind of thing with Home Assistant core and the add-ons.
All
All
right, the
right.
new home dashboard that has come out this year is now getting a little bit more smarter as well. So, suggested entities and favorites are now combined into a single smart section,
Mhm.
showing you what's most relevant in one place. Areas are now grouped by floor, making it easier to browse and understand your home's layout. So, if you're multi level living, that's great. The lights, climate, and safety views have been moved to their own dedicated panels, so you can get across them directly from under settings and dashboards. So, yeah.
That's cool. I really like the fact that they're moving from not Lovelace, but they're like kind of having all these other options there, right? Like, uh, so now you can go in and start saying, hey, you know what, this dashboard is exactly how I want to present my house, whatever, and it just gives you
Yep.
more default ways of doing it. And kind of what I was saying earlier about filtering out some of those other entities and stuff as well. Like in the default dashboard right now, like you create a new dashboard and it's everything: your configuration entities, your diagnostics entities, and the actual entities themselves for the device, right? That you're actually turning on and off a light or whatever it is, and it is like just extremely overwhelming. So this is really nice because it's a nice fresh start, right? I don't need to see the Zigbee firmware version of a Zigbee device on my dashboard, right? If I care to see
Yeah.
that, I can go into the settings and actually look at that there. But I do like seeing it, just not there. my whole family doesn't need to see it on a tablet, so on and so forth, right? Or any guests or anything like
Yeah.
that.
And then in the future, we might have, like predefined admin templates or
Right,
you know to that sort of level.
right. So, SwitchBot, they had a little bit of an update there. They got garage door support as well, which is kind of nice. Yeah.
Portainer, if you're using Portainer in Home Assistant, that's had a bit of love. There's now a whole bunch of switches and sensors in Home Assistant, so I assume that you'll be able to now see information on Docker containers running on other servers, or on other servers around the home, and maybe turn them off and on as well. Just don't switch off your Home Assistant container if you're running Home Assistant through Docker. Don't ask me how I know.
Yeah, exactly. Um, just a side note there. One of the things I don't do it anymore, but at some iteration of my home dashboard thing, I actually had a dedicated dashboard for monitoring home assistant services. So again, stuff that would typically run on a container on its own, like even like Whisper and like all of that kind of stuff that I used to run. I just run everything through Home Assistant Cloud now, but when I did run those, I'd have a monitor of all of those, and I wasn't using Portainer, but I was using some other Docker. I think probably just a native Docker add-on or something like that. And that was great because I could just in Home Assistant, I could be like, why isn't this working? Just click another tab and just, oh, my random container is down, right? And so that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So there's a place for that. So I do really like that. Unify. So LED control is now available for supported Unify network devices if you want more LEDs in your life.
Well, I appreciate that. Like, if you've got, I don't
It's
know
cool. It's
what
there.
devices are there, but if you've got like one of the Wi-Fi access points in the hallway, right, like which I do, maybe you want to turn off the LED light at night for whatever reason, or use it as a
Yeah.
nightlight
Yeah.
potentially.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. That's true. I never thought of it that way.
yeah. Now, if you're looking to upgrade your smart home, you can't go past Zeus. Zeus have just released their brand new Z-Wave long-range siren and chime, the ZSE 5800LR, which you might remember Agnes teasing when she was here a few months ago. You can trigger audio and visual LED alarms based on smart sensors or other conditions, and the audio speaker plays your own files for personalized automation. Or there's a selection in a preloaded library on the device. Zeus are an official Works with Home Assistant partner, helping Nabucasa by providing long range devices for testing the new Home Assistant Connect ZWA2 radio. Zeus offer a range of affordable and innovative devices, including water leak sensors, water valve controllers, smart plugs, and scene controllers. Their new Zen 78 high power relay allows you to control and monitor higher load appliances up to 40 amps, which is perfect for pool pumps, air compressors, and other high power outlets. For the best prices on all Zeus products, head over to thesmartesthouse.com. That's thesmartesthouse.com.
I don't know if I ever mentioned this, speaking of zoos, but I did eventually get around. I know I talked about this a while ago about my fire alarms expiring and so on and so forth, my
Yes,
smoke
yes,
alarms
yes.
expiring at the house and everything. So I actually did end up doing a Zeus Zen 55. So my essentially my smoke and CO alarm, it's a combined alarm,
Yep.
is in one spot. And then the Zeus controller basically gets plugged into that, the relay, and it taps into the traveler wire because I've got a couple of those, one upstairs, one downstairs kind of thing, and it just taps into it, and it works awesome. And it can actually, so my fire alarm actually, when you hit the test button, it'll actually test both smoke and carbon monoxide.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And you can actually see the two different channels,
I was
and
going to ask, yeah, you can see the two, so you can see which one's actually triggering.
yeah. So I can actually, I mean, realistically, for my case, I if any of them are triggering, I'm exiting the house.
Yes, yes.
But it's actually nice that I can actually see, and I've created a couple of critical notifications by automation saying, "Hey, if this happens, then send both my wife and I a critical notification saying, hey, there's something going on." And that's probably more for when we're not at home rather than when we are at home.
Yep.
Just again, we can these new smoke alarms are so loud, and so it's like, which is again a good thing, I think. But yeah, so got that working, and it's awesome. I really like it, and that is connected to my ZWA2 up here, which is running remotely because my my Home Assistant Yellow is in the basement. So yeah, it's
Nice.
running off
Oh, you
Wi-Fi.
you
So there you
you
go.
did it. Yeah, cool. A question for you then: do you have any automations set up, or are you planning any automations around like fire safety? For example, smoke
Uh,
alarm triggers, turn on all the lights, or unlock the
Literally today, that's
doors.
on my to-do list. After we finish recording, is
Yeah,
uh, that's what I'm hoping to do. Is just again, maybe not even unlock. Yeah, I guess I could do the unlock doors part. I was just going to turn on all the lights in uh, in our room, in the hallways, in the baby's room, potentially in the basement if there's any guests.
yep,
Uh, and yeah, so and the nice thing is, this is a way cheaper solution than getting smart devices, and also all of the smart devices that I saw are battery powered, not mains powered.
yeah,
Most of them, or at least the ones that are that I and again, like I said, I need smoke and I need CO, and that's my regulation here. And with a baby in the house and stuff like that, I would rather err on the side of safety there.
of course,
So
yeah,
I'd want that anyways. But yeah, so and it turns out the people that lived here before me, they had an extra little cutout next to the smoke alarm, where back in the day where it was two separate alarms, smoke and a separate CO. So I just tapped into the one it's the blank now, right? Because I've
yeah,
always only ever used the combination alarm, and so I didn't even realize that there was still stuff there. There's still wiring there. So when I open it up, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So it's completely segmented off. There's power there. There's the traveler wire. So it's great. It's fantastic. So yeah, I really like the solution. So just thought I'd give an update on that. I know I talked about it a while ago. So
All right, some new integrations landing in 2025.11. Firefly 3 can now integrate with that project. It is a free open source personal finance manager. It's got full transaction management. So there's an API. So you can, yeah, essentially, if you're managing your finances through there, I can see you doing some gamification through your home automation system there.
that's cool. Meteo.it, that integration uses meteorological data from the Lithuanian Hydrometeorological, wow, that is such a hard word to say, service to provide regional weather forecasts for different locations in Lithuania.
Nice. Lunatone Gateway, you can now integrate that. It enables control and monitoring of DALI lighting systems through Lunatone's DALI Gateway interface.
Nice. Nintendo's parental controls. So the parental controls integration connects with Nintendo's parental management service, which now allows you to monitor and manage device usage and restrictions, all from Home Assistant. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, so I looked into because I read this in the notes. I was like, "Ooh, that seems interesting." There's binary sensors for like is the device being I think it's if the device is being used. There's also switches so you can say okay that's it like lock out the device or
Yeah,
you can maybe you want to give them more of a budget. If you've maybe going to tie this into Habitisha, another home business integration, if they've done their chores, done their habits correctly today, give them a bit of extra time on the Nintendo Switch. Or if your Firefly 3 has decided that you spent too much money last week, you can't afford to spend more time on Nintendo, get back to work, put some parental controls on for yourself.
yeah,
But yeah, I think in terms of uh, and I think the Open Home Foundation touched on this in one of their latest mission statements too, or they were talking about working on a mission statement around using home automation for good and evil. Home isn't Nabucco are concentrating, the Home Foundation are concentrating on everyone's using the open home and all the smart home for good. There is always bad actors, and I do think that when we start integrating things, like there is the potential for bad things to happen. I know we're talking about a game system here, um, parental controls, but like, could you know, could this be used as a weapon in some a way? Like, don't do this. I'm going to lock out your Nintendo, or could a hacker, go through Home Assistant and lock out your Nintendo? Probably not, but yeah, it becomes a bit powerful, right? Um, yeah, but parental controls in Nintendo are there. That was a bit of a rant I just randomly it reminded me of, right? Like there is um, comes with a lot of power comes great responsibility.
yeah. Yep, I agree. All right. Actron Air. The Actron Air integration allows you to control their ACs in Home Assistant. Yeah.
Open RGB, you can now allows unified control of RGB lighting across various hardware brands through the Open RGB project. Now, I actually haven't heard of the Open RGB project, but yeah, I like anything open, and RGB is cool. So I assume you'd be able to do some like maybe some WLED, ASP Home sort of RGB projects. So yeah, that looks cool.
Yeah, that is kind of neat. iNels or INELS. You can integrate that smart home system to manage lighting, heating, and other automation controls. Let's enhance your home control there. So there you go.
I love presence detection, and Fing is now available. So the Fing integration allows you to do network scanning, device detection, and presence monitoring capabilities using the Fing platform. So just gives you another data point to see who's home, who's not home.
Yeah. And last but not least, the DALI Center. So you can integrate that platform, which is for monitoring DALI-based lighting systems. So or DALI-based lighting systems.
Some backwards incompatible changes coming into 2025.11. The IBM Watson IoT platform is gone. So that has been removed due to a lack of maintenance and usage. I actually, you know what? I think I remember us talking about this being released as a new component like many
Yeah,
like years ago, right? So that's a bit sad, and it's also
yeah.
sad that it's not going away because IBM Watson isn't around anymore. It's just like there's no one there to maintain it, and therefore,
No one,
and no one's really
and
using
no
it.
one's using it. Why?
Yeah,
Why maintain it if you're not using it, right?
yeah, exactly.
Motion blinds. So there's tilt detection now for motion blinds. So that's been, or sorry, tilt detection was always there, but it's been reversed to align with
Mhm.
standard behavior. So that means you probably want to adjust your automations because 0 is now 100, 100 is now 0.
Right. Okay. Python 3.14 support. The Home Assistant now supports Python 3.14. This does is going to cause a few issues with some custom components. I know I've been caught out by this one already. I use the custom component for Grossy, um, and that appears to be broken for me at the moment. I've raised an issue on their GitHub page, but yeah, just watch out for custom integrations. They may not load up when you run 2025.11.
Yeah. And last but not least, Neato, which we've talked about on that show before. I believe they're robot vacuums. Their integration and all their analytics have been removed from Home Assistant because of the cloud striking again. So
Yeah, I was. Should we, should we roll out the music for the? I was tempted to roll out the music for that one, but we are experimenting with live streaming to Patreon and YouTube today, so I didn't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But yeah, this one, I don't know, Ron, did you read about this? Like, this is a pretty interesting story. So the I think the company got acquired by another company, or a subdivision, however it works. All these
yeah,
corporates, right? Evil corporations, and they decided that, hey, this cloud thing is actually costing us a bit of money to keep running, so we're going to commit to everyone to keeping it alive for 5 years, and then after that, catch you later. Anyway, they reneged on that, and they were like, no, actually, we don't have enough money to do this for 5 years. We're going to shut it down quickly. But by doing that, not only can you no longer access your robot vacuum cleaner by the app, there are now the only way for you to start cleaning with the robot vacuum that you've paid for in your home is to physically go up and press a button on the dock or the vacuum
what?
cleaner. And now you can't do things like selecting the zone or room you want to clean. It's either clean everything or clean nothing. And if you floor plan
No.
changes or you decide to sell that robot vacuum to another house that's a completely different layout, sorry, you're out of luck because you
Oh,
can't now go in and upload a new map to the robot vacuum cleaner or anything like that. So that is, if there's ever a case for not needing a cloud dependency, like this is a case in point right here.
I wonder if you're able to take that if you own a Neato vac. I wonder if you're able to take that and install oh my god, I can't remember what the open vacuum firmware
Oh yeah, there is.
is
Yeah, there is
called.
a. Yeah, it's got a random Russian sounding name. I think it is. I guess not. Like, surely that would have come in as a replacement for this pretty quickly. It would require, like being able to root the device and get access to it that way. Um,
Yeah. Valitudo, that's what
that's the
it's
one.
called.
Yep, yep. And you started with a V. Yeah, like if even like Neato could have come out and said, "Hey, you know what? We are shutting down our cloud servers. We want to go ahead and open up the firmware or allow you to install a firmware that doesn't require the cloud, but allows you to access an internal API or something."
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's so silly.
yeah.
It's, just terrible way to do things, but yeah. And I just looked, I don't see it on Valitudo's list, but maybe I'm missing it too, so check it out. Don't trust me.
But yeah, like I think Roborock would be another. Like I have a Roborock vacuum cleaner. I think that would, like, if Roborock decided tomorrow that their cloud is costing them too much money, like that would be the same sort of boat, right?
Except
And
the
I'm sure.
Roborock is supported on Valitudo, so you can
Ah,
use
there you go.
Xiaomi.
Cool. Hey, nice. Maybe I'll look at installing
Yeah,
that.
there's a bunch, and it has manuals on it too. I don't see Neato, unfortunately, for those of you that own it.
Yep.
Uh, and I am truly sorry that that's happening to you. That's really crappy.
Yeah.
But I guess that's
Cool.
all for today.
That's 2025.11. So thank you.
Cheers.